So, quick little intro. What I'm about to use is the most mental tool I have ever concocted or used. So it's a wire cup wheel from Lidl, and it's massive. Look at that for my head. Massive. Massive cup head. And it is attached to a cheap Aldi grinder. I think this is probably the safest option because it doesn't look like it's going to be safe.
So the first thing we're going to do is take the wheel off. By taking the wheel off, it gives us access to the underbody of the car where the fuel tank sits. So as you can see, it's quite crusty under here. There is quite a lot of surface rust, there is quite a lot of proper serious rust. But for this segment, we're just going to be taking the surface rust off and then trying our best just to stop the rust from getting any worse, right up until when I can get on the ramp and do the job properly.
Turns out that was a really, really bad idea. So we're not going to use that anymore.
So the main aim here is just to get as much surface rust as we can off, and then hopefully there's no major holes or anything like that. The Swiss Alps really did take a toll on this car. So this is just some K-rust from hammerite, or crust as people call it, and all this does is turn rust into a stable surface just so it stops the rusting process for a little while. So the chassis rails are actually quite good, it's the surrounding area. So the problem is Ford decided to fill the rear quarters with foam to try and make the noise in the cab better, and by doing that they've just allowed moisture to stagnate and it just rusts the whole quarter. So here I'm going to use some rust inhibiting zinc primer. It's not the best stuff and it's really thick and horrible, but it's just doing a job for the time being.
for this next portion of the video, we're going to use some final underbody sealant, which is Gravitex. Almost a bit like Raptor. So far we've had the rust treatment coat, we've then had the rust inhibiting primer, and now the Gravitex, and then afterwards probably just a satin black coat. I will address the whole arches and things in future. When we cut the arches to make them wider, I'll redo them all then properly. So for the meantime, we'll spray some of this, but it's quite nasty stuff, so get some protection in place. Okay, so we have to figure out how the MX-5 fuel pump feeds the fuel filter and then returns back to the tank. It's only got one pipe up to the front. So, from what I can gather, this is the MX-5 fuel pump that I've retrofitted to the Cortina tank. This is that's the fuel feed. Comes round to the top of the filter, comes down, comes out. One returns and then the other goes to the front, and it builds up pressure in that system and then powers the front. So that is what I will need to figure out and plumb up. So we're just doing a bit of jerry rigging for the pump, just to see if we can test that it works. So we've run our live to the battery. That in there, and we'll try this one. Should be this one. So there we go. So now we have our feed. We just need to figure out where we're going to mount the pipes underneath here. So I think I'm going to put the tank in for the time being. I think I'm going to put the tank in and then try and figure out where there's space then for the pump and the other bits and bobs. I'll connect some pipes up now and then try and figure out where there's going to be any space. Okay. So that's the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe and share.